Welcome to another episode of the Someone Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Battisto. Today, it's going to be me, Brian Navarro. We're just going to be talking about wrestling. A lot of stuff just happened with California junior team, just going out there and winning Greco. Pretty cool. We'll talk about some of that stuff. We'll also talk about some wrestling camps that are going on this summer. We'll talk about our thoughts on camps in general, swap some stories, and then we'll get into talking about just some of the questions that people sent in. Just thank you guys for supporting the show. If you want to continue to support the show, there's this new thing that is in our link in our bio. It's a suggestion box. So how it's going to work, if you guys have any ideas on how we can improve the show, if you have any thoughts, if you have any, contributions. When I say contributions, like if you have an idea and like you feel like you can contribute and want to possibly be on the show, there's a couple things that I'm working on right now that I kind of want to expand the podcast this summer into other things, possibly do some spinoffs. If that's something that you're interested in and, want to shoot your shot and possibly be a part of this, like, let me know. The suggestion box is there. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the show. And if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and enjoy the show.
What's going on, man?
Dude, your microphone puts mine to shame.
Hey, hold on just a second. I got the Padre game going on in the background.
There you go.
It's on my laptop, but like the sound, I got to turn the sound off.
Because it comes Sean through. Couldn't make it.
He's at the Padre game?
He's probably watching the Padre game.
Well, I mean, either that or he's at practice or something along those lines.
I think their practice gets out at 6.
Hey, well, he didn't join. Life goes on.
Yeah,
he's a traveling fool, man.
Yeah, he went all the way to New York, I think, just to go watch Padres game.
Yeah, and as a Padre fan, I mean, that was a rough weekend for sure. They didn't win a single game while they were out there.
They played the Mets,
and then the Phillies,
Yeah,
crazy. They were like 1-5 on the road trip.
That's a cool road trip, though. I bet.
As a fan, heck yeah, man. Go to New York, enjoy a little bit of the sights and sounds, and then move on over to Philly. That'd be great.
You've been over there, right? You were just over there, I think, for the Washington trip.
Yeah, I've only been to DC.
Okay.
Obviously Virginia and Maryland and the surrounding towns of DC, but never been to New York. Never been to Philly.
Dude, that would be so awesome to squad up for Nationals next year.
I missed the Penn State NCAAs a few years back, like 2002 or something like that. I missed it with the boys. But yeah, that'd be so fun to cruise back and go to Happy Valley. As a Michigan fan, I would not have a problem stepping foot in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania anywhere.
Yeah, and as a history guy, it would be cool like to get there maybe a little bit early or stay a little bit late, and then like go check out like some museums. And I think the Liberty Bell maybe is in Philadelphia. Go look at where they signed the Declaration of Independence. Just check out those different spots. It'd be cool.
Independence Hall would be phenomenal. Yeah, we'd have to stay after, because that's anytime that the NCAA, that's like our last week before spring break, and so to take a couple days off beforehand, and then number one, that's got to be signed by my principal. If she's watching. Well, we're kind of in transition now, so I guess it doesn't matter. But to extend a holiday, I'll stay an extra couple days. I'll stay that Monday, Tuesday, and then come back on Wednesday to tour Philly for a little bit. Maybe hop on a train and cruise up to New York. Heck yeah.
How far is that train ride?
A couple hours. I think it's a 3 or maybe a 4 hour. Again, I'm spitballing there. I don't know the actual train ride from Philly to New York. I think it's like a 3 hour.
It says William H. Gray Station. Is that right? It's only an hour 30, an hour 25.
Cool. Yeah. Sweet. Cut my time in half.
Yeah. No, looks good. We could do that.
hop on a bus from the train station or catch an Uber downtown, go walking, grab a couple scooters or something.
Yeah, get some birds.
We'd we'd have to talk to Sean and see what he did and how he got around. It looked like he was kind of hot footing it for a little bit, walking through downtown.
I mean, that all sounds like good in theory, but I don't know. Though I feel like those days kind of get long as a fan.
Yeah, 100%. Talk
But
about a long day and the longest day of the year right now, man.
this is it. This is the
Yeah,
longest day of the year.
yeah, it's the summer solstice today, I think.
Man, I did.
I think
I would have planned
I,
something
I
if I would
think
have
I'm
known.
right. I don't know. I've been wrong a few times in my life.
I was gonna have a guest on earlier, but it's like I don't know. It's tough because you got like, there's camps going on right now. People are training. They got people going on vacation, so it's like, oh, let's do this day. We got to move it. Hey, I got to go do this thing. Got to move it. But I feel like I don't know. I don't know if I should share like or some of the guests that we're talking to and see if they can get there because I don't want to get people's hopes up.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's what you're striving to do. I mean, nothing's ever set in stone. I mean, you got to cancel or bring on a different guest every now and then, but I don't think it's a problem to put out there in the universe of who you're trying to get on your show, man.
Yeah, I think just trying to get, my thought process is like, I think I was actually talking to Abram a little bit after kind of just what he thought. Cause he was saying, he watched some of the episodes and I was like, well, from someone, you were just a high schooler from a fan perspective. Like, what'd you think about it? He's like, well, I like the reels. I like some of the guests that you've had on. It was cool seeing, like he said, Miguel Estrada coming on. It was cool seeing like Kraft, like people that it's cool seeing people that on the show, which I totally get. I personally like. I like having coaches on, but I think a lot of the fan base is becoming like high schoolers, like people that follow from the reels and like see something that's cool. It's a mix of I think of high school wrestlers and some parents and some coaches. So I think as that grows, it's cool to have, I think, people that are right now, like the kind of lineup of people we're going to have on, I think is just, these are people that were pretty good wrestlers in California in high school. And now they're transitioning to the next level. So,
Absolutely. I mean, that goes as far back as you had Montero on, him obviously transitioning up to college, but Abram, and then you had Guffey, and I'm aware of who you want on here in the next week or so, and hopefully you can make all that happen and put it out there, and it'll be good.
yeah, they've all said yes. It's just trying to figure out what exact day, the time, and then making sure everything lines up. But yeah, pretty good group of guests. And then I talked to actually, I just I'm starting to just start swinging for the fences, and if I can get somebody, maybe a bigger name that we know or somebody that we think is interesting, I want them on the show. I want to be able to talk. I want to be able to kind of share what they're doing. I saw John Sachs was posting a GoFundMe to kind of help fund his trip to the Olympics in Paris, so he can take some cool shots. So I just was like, send him a DM. I'm like, hey, John, I'm a big fan. Obviously, you've taken pictures of me from high school all the way through college and coaching, and you do that for a lot of people. It would be cool to have you on to talk about your wrestling journey and promote your GoFundMe, kind of help
And
with
that's
this
the only one
process.
he does. He spends all that money out of pocket.
I didn't know that. That's nuts.
Yeah, he travels so much. Obviously, with we're lucky to have him here in California because he puts out great photos, of course. But yeah, he's done the Olympics. I think the last 6 cycles, and yeah, he puts out a GoFundMe to hopefully get a little bit of cash and make a subsidy out of it. But no, that guy travels the world.
Yeah, he messaged me back. He said once he gets back from the Olympic track and field event, that we'll try to figure out a day and a time. But
Yeah, 100%.
dude, I can't believe he pays all that out of pocket. I mean, I'm sure he makes just a little bit. I don't know how much he makes from that, but maybe it covers hopefully some of the costs.
If I'm not mistaken, he puts everything up for free. Now I'm sure he has his own little website. Well, I know he has a website, but I'm sure he has his own private kind of photography, sets up appointments here and there. But no, I think all the wrestling stuff's for free.
Yeah, I know I definitely screenshotted some of this stuff,
Sure, yeah.
but
Maybe you hold off and not tell him that before you find out
I
that it,
I don't know. Hopefully, he seems like a cool guy, so hopefully he doesn't. Uh, yeah, I
I've
don't
had
think.
some really good interactions with him over the years.
Yeah.
He was up at the last one. He was up at the JC duels up in Fresno.
Hmm.
So when he was taking photos of that, when Mount Sac came up and wrestled Fresno City last year, and he sat down and kind of chatted with me for a little bit, and we had a good time, and it was awesome. It was really good.
I talked to him maybe it was before the third day at state. He was down on the floor. I'm trying to think who else was there. I might have been you actually.
I think so, and I think was Chris Mora there too.
I think so.
Yeah, I think both those photographers were there. Yeah, we were kind of on that mat. I think we were on mat 8, just kind of chatting it up, and guy takes some good photos. Him and Chris. Chris does a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think just trying to capture um, some of these like special moments, being able to see, um, especially it's like when people celebrating or coaches being fired up in the corner and that athlete coach thing. Like for me as a fan, as a coach, like that's always cool to see.
Well, you have the legendary photo, obviously, of Miguel two years
Yeah,
ago. That was such a great moment for you and your staff, as well as Miguel, to see the emotion on your face, just leaning back and, just pure emotion. And for those photographers to catch that, it's awesome. There's another guy in San Diego that Sean and Brady have.
hmm.
They do a lot with the San Diego teams down there. I can't think of that guy's name.
I'm trying to think. I think I shook his hand. Does he have a hat?
Yeah,
Like
they
a
all
thing
got
he wears a beanie?
hats. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Never mind. He's I think he's shorter and he has kind of like more like a stylish kind of like beanie.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. He's got
No,
that in. He's got a decent Instagram page, and
okay.
those guys, yeah, put it
Well,
on for sure.
we gotta figure that out. I think he might have actually given me his card. I don't have my wallet on me. He gave me his card. But
How's the weather up there today?
it was a little hot. It wasn't too bad. It was a little warm, sunny. I didn't check the UV rays, but
I got
normally
a bunch
that's
on
not
my
something I
face
pay
today.
attention to.
We
Yeah, you look red. Sorry,
well,
I'm sorry I didn't notice sooner.
it's all good, man. We were out in the backyard. Put up the little pool. We got a little above ground pool, so put that up. Got in there with the daughter, and it was such a nice night. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna bring out my gear and bring it out here. I bring out the mic and the camera and the computer. Just sitting on the patio. We had dinner earlier, and now just enjoying the evening. It's phenomenal.
What's the temperature right now?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Got to be like 73, 74, somewhere in there.
You're
Yeah,
so
70, 73. We were up to like 92 today, but
just
real
getting kind
good.
of cool. Yeah.
Real good. I don't ever have an issue just being solo, but I kind of wish the boys were the San Diego boys on because I wanted to talk about junior and cadet duels in Greco.
Dude, wait, you said junior, like they're wrestler junior,
No, as
or
in,
juniors like Junior
Cal-
Greco?
yeah, California Greco. They won it.
Yeah, that was one of the things. I haven't been watching it too much. I saw some of Cepeda's bombs on Instagram. He hits this one where he's like elevating. And I feel like he takes them backwards or like a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and then
Yeah.
he like posts on his head and like keeps going.
He
And
ducked it and he kept going and it was awesome. Into a nice little high dive and
Yeah.
It was sweet. Sahakian's lift yesterday was really good, and then he had a tech fall against the PA kid today. So he teched him 9-0. It was good.
Yeah. I I
Third,
I I feel like if they're able to win the duels and they're able to win Fargo for Greco, I feel like it's very fair to say California's got the best Greco
this year for sure. Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Which
I
I feel
mean,
like in years past, I don't know. I feel like Al would know this stuff. I don't know if you're like how have we done in years past for Greco? I feel like it's been competitive, but not necessarily winning it.
I think post COVID, there's been a little bit of a slough, but this last couple of years, these kids are top notch. I mean, our team this year was really good. I mean, Sahakian, obviously a big name, got the Cortez brothers. Dylan Pyle, he was on the
Los
California,
Gatos.
yeah, 175 kid. He unfortunately got pinned in the duel today, but did really well. Sandoval and Posada's on that team.
Mhm. He's
You know,
going 215s, dude.
and I mean, he got beat by no. He beat the PA kid 8-0. He tech followed him. Yeah, up at 215. We kind of talked about it last time, but he doesn't care about his weight right now. He's just getting thick and big, and I don't know. He's a kid. He's a kid that you could definitely reach out to. His dad's pretty savvy on social media and on the California Wrestler and everything.
Yeah.
He's a beast, a beast.
Yeah, he'd be cool to talk to. I think it's interesting, yeah, his style, and I think how he's been able to wrestle with his frame. Um, when I watched him wrestle last year and the year before, he wrestled I think 165s or no 175s this last year, and then was it 160s the year before. It seems like he doesn't like he has this huge frame and is not super like jacked, but he's just able to I think wrestle through so many positions so well. I feel like most of the kids that I see that with that kind of build aren't able to wrestle with some of those positions, but he's super. He seems super strong.
Yeah, and he's got 40 pounds since February. What was he, 175 in February? Now he's up to 215.
Wonder if he cut any weight during the
No,
high school
I'm
season.
sure he did, but like that's 40 solid pounds coming in. Yep. I think the surprise was seeing Zapata lose. I never heard of the kid. Obviously, we're more West Coast, but that Pearson Manville kid out of
You've never
Pennsylvania.
heard? Are you serious?
Like, I'll be honest, I mean, there are certain kids that slip through, and I'd never heard of him. Obviously, I went back today and kind of, over the last couple hours, looked at who he is, and I'm like, how did I not know about this kid? But
You know Mason Manville, right?
yeah, but I
Uh,
didn't. I didn't put two and two together, and he beat up Cepeda in that duel.
yeah. I
Yeah, I
want
tucked him.
to. I want to say he's going to Arizona State. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna go. I think right now I think he's committed to Arizona State. Might be
Well,
at 49, maybe
he
57.
he's really really freaking tough, man.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I felt stupid. I was like, who is this kid? Manville, man. And I'm like, oh yeah, this kid's pretty good.
Yeah, State College High School. Yeah, he's pretty tough, dude.
It's all right.
Oh.
All the people listen, kind of like, how does this guy not know Manville? Well, life life goes on.
I mean, so I don't know. There are so many high school kids. I've been thinking about I guess how to kind of grow the show, and it's like I don't know everything. Like I kind of know a little bit about like our section, like who are the names are, but outside of that, like I know some of the obviously the bigger names in our state, but like oh this guy placed fifth at this weight 2 years ago. It's like dude, I have no idea. I have no idea. Um, so it'd be hard doing like the news like that. You know what I mean?
I totally understand. Whether it's a Michael Cho or, a Jesse Smith or some of those rankers out there, they know every single person and the data on it. And yeah, I think on your aspect, on the coaching aspect, you might know a lot of your guys in your main weight classes, but getting to know that directory of wrestlers in California is beastly. I mean, even if you're looking at the top, say you knew off bat, the top 10 in each weight class. Okay, well, there's 140, 145 kids popping through. Getting all those in your brain, yeah, I don't know how those guys do it. Obviously, they got the data points behind it in spreadsheets, but it's nuts.
I listen to I like kind of going back and like just studying like different coaches. So like I've been kind of on like a Ben Askren binge right now, but I watched his old Joe Rogan podcast. And one of the things they talked about was like you can only fit like 150 names in your brain. And like you start going past it's like you can't, it's hard to remember everybody's names. And for Rogan, it's like he interviews all these different guests. It's like, dude, he was talking about some scientists. All you could remember is the dudes. Like he had like, it's like, was it Jane? Like I can't remember his name, but he was
I
trying
can't
to
remember what
describe.
science is.
Yeah, names are hard, man. It's hard remembering names.
I mean, I think both of us as teachers understand it. And yeah, you're locked in at, let's say 185 kids, each semester, and you're good with those. And then here comes another set of, at least for me, because I got semester kids, another 185 kids along the way. And you're like, okay, what year were you? Like, I know your name is Joe Smith. I remember you as Joe Smith, but were you 2019, 2020? Yeah, that's the hard part.
How many years have you been teaching?
Got my degree in '06 and started long-term subbing right away. So, I mean, if you're counting that, yeah, '06.
Like 18,
Yeah,
18
somewhere in
years.
there. I mean, I think officially I got my first class by myself in 2011, I think. Yeah, 2011. It's good.
Yeah.
Pays the bills, man.
Yeah, it's fun. I signed up to do this residency program, which is it's actually how I got into teaching. I did that. I wouldn't count it my first year, but my last year competing, I did this residency program where you're in the classroom 3 days a week, embedded in the classroom, and then by second semester you slowly take over the class.
Yep.
And it's cool. So it's going to be kind of cool to be on the other side of that. Be able to mentor somebody. You get a little stipend, which is cool, but it's cool being that I was in that first group for the residency program, and now it's going to be year 7 of doing that. So it'd be cool, I guess, being able to kind of return the favor a little bit.
Full circle, man.
Full circle.
Full circle for sure. I think it's been great for my, obviously stopped coaching about 10, 12 years ago. But to be able to have those interactions with those kids and move into the classroom as well as on the mat, I think my coaching since I was 18 helped me become a better teacher as well. Having that classroom management, being able to talk to different kids throughout the day and different levels of kids. So it's great. And then I kind of had your route a couple years ago where I was able to have 2 student teachers in back-to-back years.
Nice.
So being able to go through that program, doing obviously all of us doing student teaching, and then be able to give back to those, it's great. And one of the 2 is doing extremely well. Kind of like the dean of students at a small little charter school here locally. So it's fun to give back. I think as wrestlers, we cherished our coaches, and I always wanted to be the teacher that I never had. And what I mean by that is like I wanted to pick and choose the good things from the other teachers, but not be the bad things from the teachers that I didn't care about. Well, I think that's on the coaching aspect as well. So that mentorship from the coaching and being a wrestler and being coached, and then now being a coach giving it back, it's amazing. One of the cool things that I look forward to every single year is wrestling camp. And Fullerton Wrestling Camp, I enjoy being there and just watching those college kids and the NCAA champs come back and give their technique to the kids. It is 100% full circle. and it's super cool to me.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind changing gears and talking about that camp. Um,
Let's do it.
I feel like with camps, I get asked all the time, like, is it worth going to this camp? Like, what do you think about this camp? And parents or kids, they ask me that, and like, I don't know what your thought process on it. I think it's like how you measure a camp is, do you get value out of something that they're offering that maybe you can't necessarily get in other places. Like, I think the value in an intensive camp is like they're going to put you through college level workouts. They're going to make you tougher. You're going to get possibly 3 to 4 wrestling practices or a combination of wrestling practices, whether that's technique or live practice or a live session, college level intensity session. You might get a run, you might get a lift. I think all that stuff is great, especially if it's got really good counselors, like really good, young wrestlers on staff that can, help lead the workouts and wrestle with you. Like, I think it's awesome. I think I'm not a big fan of sometimes college wrestlers that want to do some camps and charge like an absorbent amount of money for showing technique for like 3 to 4 hours. Like, that's my personal thing. And I tell you why. Like, I think the what are you exactly getting for me, like, I think I wouldn't necessarily encourage it. But if it's something where it's like, hey, should I go do this camp of this wrestler that I really like? Well, okay. Like, what you're getting out of this is you're going to get exposure to that person. Like, you're going to be taught by this clinician, possibly, get to ask some questions, get to interact with them. And I think if you find value in that, awesome. I think if you have the perception that you're going to go learn this like really cool move that like is going to change your game, I feel like the probability of that, at least with our team, that's probably, not super likely. But I don't know. I think if you want to get exposed to like other wrestling, I think doing like an intensive camp or just go into like an open room for like a club or like, an RTC practice with a college. Like, I feel like that's where you're probably going to get uh, probably what you really need is, and that's getting better at wrestling if you're a high schooler.
I think intensive camps are wonderful if you have that kid. If you've got kids that are, let's say a JV wrestler trying to make the lineup and to try and increase, probably not the best to go to an intensity camp. Number one, you're going to get a little bit smoked on the college style practice, and a lot of those counselors that are at an intensity camp, I think they put the work in, but more endurance and just like it says, intensity, and those are tough. I think that a lot of the young kids that are going to the intensity camps learn a work ethic. They learn what it's going to take on how much time, effort, and energy to put in there. Like you said, there's not much technique being taught at those camps. I mean, minimal, but to teach the structure of a practice, I think it's phenomenal. I think those kids get exposed to that. When it comes to a technique camp, for years, whether it was Hitchcock or the Granby camps or something along those lines, that teach a series within a series.
Yeah.
Great. Of course, I'm biased because, I've worked it for 25 years, but it's so enjoyable to have those 4 guys come out every year, at least at Fullerton. You got Anthony Robles comes out and he starts us off on that very first day, and he teaches 3 sessions. He'll teach the lunch section, the dinner section, and then we have a night section. And a lot of that for Robles is top work. A guy was a master with all his tilts, and the kids get a lot out of that, in my humble, honest opinion. And then, those 2 camp directors, they bring in some big guns. Over the years, they've had some big heavyweights. Obviously Varner was in there for a while with Ed Ruth. I remember him coming one year. But when you scale it down, you've got normally a lightweight, a middleweight. This year, you got a world champion. You got Vito coming out for that guy. Robles going to start you off on that Saturday, and then here comes Vito, and then I'm not sure who's coming next, whether it's Nolf or Mendez, but now you're looking at guys that are dominant on top, dominant on their feet. So I think their lineup that they put through and the camp directors, it's great, and the kids get a lot out of it. There's 4 sessions per day. They've got a little bit of playtime with the swimming. obviously there's the Powerball or the dodgeball, however you're going to have it, ultimate frisbee or whatever's going to happen. But getting those kids to stay at a dorm and kind of meeting new kids. I remember last year having a kid just kind of come up and he's like, "Hey, are you the guy that announces at the state finals?" And I was like, "Yeah, who are you?" And he's like, "Well, my name's Tim and so on and so forth. I wrestle at, Santa Ana." And so, kind of went on, but you meet those kids. And then, like you said, you get the relationships with the actual clinicians. It's been so wonderful to get to know, Anthony Robles for the last 12, 15 years, and for him to come in and, meet his family and all of that. You make these connections, and then you're excited about his new movie coming out, and then you see him, going back and coaching at the high school level, and then ultimately moving on up and what he does as an ambassador for the sport as well as just life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I personally remember having, Jason Surtees came out one year and he did one of the cool, like, his stuff on top was so amazing. And to be able to have that archived in some sort of video, and all those clinicians let you videotape it, but the kids get so much out of it, in my humble, honest opinion. 4 days of 4 great clinicians, and they teach you everything. Normally that first morning session is the introduction, the warm up, and whoever it's going to be, whether it's on their feet or on top. But it's staggered. For Vito, you're probably going to want to see what he's going to do on his feet. Mendez is so solid on top, and Nolf is just such a funk master. He was there a couple years ago, so this is the second time that Nolf's been back to the camp. But now with his crossover with grappling and a little bit of the jiu-jitsu stuff, I don't know. I think you're right about making those connections. Those kids are able to see it. I was on Instagram yesterday scrolling through and looking at the University of Michigan, and they had their little kids camp there, and they're just making connections. And, whether it's Derringer in the background, just having fun with the kids, you get to meet that guy. That guy came out twice to Cal State or to Fullerton Wrestling Camp. And so being able to have a relationship with that guy. The story I told, I think one of the other times I was on, was sitting there, and next thing you know, we have Kellen Russell come out, and he didn't know me. I don't know him. He comes out, and I'm a big fan because he's a 2-time champ, and I'm a Michigan boy. And then one of the head, the head guys, the head director of the camp, Lyndon Campbell, at the end, I shook his hand. I was like, "Hey, thanks so much for coming out, Kellen. It's always such a pleasure to be a Michigan fan." And then next thing you know, he took his shirt right off his back and signed it, and Campbell gave it to me later on that night. And I was like, this is great. And then the very next year to see him at the NCAAs, and we're in Des Moines, and we're walking through and it's snowing, and all of a sudden I hear Bryan. Turn around. It's like, it's Kellen. He remembered me.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
So you're right about making those connections. And I just look at a lot of those kids to be able to come through. I look at it like a Zahid Valencia, who came through as a camper and then wins a title and comes back as a counselor. And then, ultimately is there as the clinician. So to see all that, to have Bernie Truax be an actual counselor there when he was up at Cal Poly, and then him coming back, the year in COVID, we had him come out we were down at this little volleyball arena, and to see Bernie, and to be able to send that text message or that DM, and, "Hey buddy, hey, how you doing today?" And he's like, "Good, man." And then you just wish him luck, "Hey, great season, great job, placing third or placing fourth or doing whatever you're going to do," and have those conversations, those connections with those guys. I think that's the most important part about going to a camp.
It's cool, like especially being out like with either your friends or like I'll be with my team sometimes, and I'll be at like an event, and like I think one of the first times it happens with Steve Neal, because because I wrestle at CCB and he'd come down, so he knows who I am, which is cool. And it's funny, like I'll walk by and be like, "Hey, what's up, Bryan?" And like he'll shake my hand. And like this happened this last year at state, and the kids were like, "Stephen Neal?" And I was like, kind of just shrugged like no big deal. But I was like, yeah, he's a cool dude. Like, I mean, but that's also, I think, a testament to the kind of person that he is. Like, it's for him, it's just like, oh, that's, somebody that I know. And for somebody that's done what he's done, for them to kind of be able to recognize it, and say hi, like it's cool. Like, it just shows that they're humble. And, sometimes, you get people that have success and they kind of big time you a little bit. But I feel like more often than not, wrestlers are not like that.
I agree. Do you have, are you starstruck? I mean, do you have the one or two guys that you've met along the way where your jaw just dropped, or you're just like, man, I can't believe I just met him?
So there, I'd say, I think of two occasions. So my freshman year when I wrestled at Junior Fila, back when it was Junior Fila and not U20s or whatever. But yeah, Junior Fila, and being on like that floor, like if you've been at the US Open, and it's like, oh, there's Tony Ramos like sitting like right there next to like Brett Metcalf and Derek St. John and Tom and Terry Brands, and they're all like right next to each other. And then like I keep walking, I walk past them like coop, coop, coop. And then I see like Eric Guerrero and like John Smith like following like Jordan Oliver. They just like walk past me, and I'm like coop, coop, coop. And then I keep walking, and then it's just, like the Sanderson brothers and like Jake Varner and like how like all those guys chilling. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool, you know? And so like, that was kind of like maybe one of the first times where I was like, all right, like this is pretty cool. And then when I did the J-Rob camps, after I was done competing, and I'm like starting to get to the point where I actually feel comfortable asking Jay if I could sit with him and have lunch with him. Because before I was like, dude, this is Jay Robinson. Like, he's, for one, like, he kind of sometimes come off as kind of maybe like an intimidating person, because he kind of talks like a little bit like this, and he's a hard ass, and you also know he's accomplished a lot and done a lot of different things. But once you kind of like talk to him a little bit more, and he kind of like opens up a little bit, he's actually super cool, super nice. And yeah, I
100%.
Yeah.
I got a great story about J Rob. We're in Iowa. We're at Carver, and NCAA's is there, and we all walk in, and everything's great, and wrestling's going on, and it's a long session, wrestlebacks, and
what year is this?
Early
Early 2000s.
02, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the year that I'll tell your story.
Go ahead.
Story. No, you tell your story. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
So, we're in Carver, and everything's great, and the Iowa fans are awesome, and it's a long day, but we walk out, and it's dumped 2 feet of snow, and we're like, what the heck? So now we're trying to drive the cars out of the parking lot, and we drive on down to our hotels across the street, and the boys were hungry, man. And you can't travel in the street, because it's snowing. So next thing you know, we're like, oh, there's a pizza place right down the street, Domino's. So me and a couple of guys, me and Lyndon Campbell and Arnold Alpert, we cruise on down, and we go into Domino's, and next thing you know, J-Rob's just sitting in a chair right there waiting for his pizza to be delivered, and gave the old, hey, nice job today. And he's like, hey, you want to sit down? And you're just like, yeah, sure. So in the back of your mind, you got this lump in your throat. You're like, dude, I'm about to sit next to J-Rob. And then sat down, just a cool guy. Like you said, a raspy voice. Hey, where are you guys from? Oh, we're from California. We come on out, and great, are you enjoying your time? And that was just such a cool place. You're meeting him in some little Domino's pizza place right outside Carver Hawkeye Arena. It's great. It's real fun.
Yeah, and that's a big, that's like a lasting memory.
Yep.
I can't imagine just walking in randomly, and then Jay's like, yeah, like, come on, sit down. Where you guys from?
And that happened. Cool. That happened in Des Moines with Gable. And what was super cool is, obviously, one of our wrestlers, Jeff Bristol, doing really well down in San Diego, running Fitness 10. He was wrestling for UC Davis, and we had a suite. I think it was in St. Louis. And we had the suite, and Zaleski comes up, and Zaleski brings up Gable into the suite. So all of us are just like, holy crap, like, that's Dan Gable. So, and he's like, hey, you got, he was super cool, totally just talked to us as human beings. And it was one of the really cool times where you weren't starstruck, He just treated you as an equal, and it was great. Had a great conversation with him. We were a bunch of rowdy guys, from Temecula, and we had a couple guys from Orange County, and so got to meet him. Everything was great. Well, then fast forward many years later, we're trying to save Olympic wrestling, and we're in Des Moines, and we're sitting down and we're eating lunch at the hotel, and all of a sudden the doors open up, and here comes all the bigwigs, all the guys that were trying to save USA Wrestling, and Gable walks out, and we're just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Well, we had one of the coach's sons there, and we're like, "Hey, you want to take a photograph?" And he's like, "Hey guys, you're the Temecula guys," and without any hesitation, he remembered us from the suite, and he just sat down, and next thing you know, you have like this crowd around you, and you're just like, they're all looking at Gable, and we're just sitting down, and we're having lunch and just shooting it with him. And he's like, "Guys, I got a meeting in about 10 minutes," which lasted like 25. And then ultimately we're just having lunch with him, and he gets up and he's like, "Guys, great to see you. Enjoy your time. Thanks so much for loving the sport." And he left and went back into the meeting room, and it was amazing. It was such a fun time. And just meeting those guys. You're like,
I love wrestling, man. I
just
love it.
good people, man. Good people. Have you ever had that time though where you were just nervous or just really hesitant to go up and talk to somebody?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, like having lunch with Jay, it was one of those things where like, because sometimes he would go and have lunch by himself, and like I don't want to like bother him, but I was like, dude, I'm here, like I'm here, and like I know I wouldn't, I'm pretty sure I was gonna teach, but like I wasn't exactly sure, what I was gonna be doing, but I knew for sure I wanted to coach. So I'm like, you know what, dude, like I'm here, like what's he gonna say? Like leave me alone? Like
Right.
I'm not gonna get fired because I go and try to talk to him. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, all
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna go and start talking to him. And yeah, I try to make it like once a week. I try to just sit next to him and just try to talk to him. But I remember I went shoot, see now I'm having name problems. Oh man.
I'm still
Um
here. I promise. I'm still here.
no, you're good. You're good. Dude, why am I blanking? There's oh man, I'm now I'm blanking. I hate it. Me and one of the other counselors, Michael Otomo. It took me a second. Um, Me and this guy, Michael Otomo. So he had been a camp counselor before. He wrestled at North Dakota State, wrestled 174 pounds, I want to say. But yeah, he was just kind of just visiting, just there for I think maybe a couple days, and we kind of just hit it off because we both knew Lorenzo De La Riva, who had transferred from CCB to NDSU. So we were talking and like, hey, like, do you want to go out and we'll go and we'll get a meal and get a beer and so we went, and as we're walking out, like we're all kind of like dressed up like to go out, because it's I don't think it worked out the next day, and I went and as we were leaving, we passed by Jay's door, and he's in there, his door's open, and he's kind of like reading something. And I'm like, "Hey, Jay, like we're gonna go out and get a drink. Like, would you want to come with us?" And he goes, "What? Oh, where are you guys going?" And we're like, "Oh, we're going to this place called Bros. Like it's like down the street a little bit." And he's like, "All right, you guys are heading over there right now?" And I was like, "Yeah, like we'll be there, probably for a cool minute." And he's like, "Oh, I'll meet you there." So, I don't know, we're like, all right, maybe not. That'll be cool though. So we ended up just walking down there, and we ended up getting our meal, and we got a couple beers, and we're just kind of just sitting and hanging out and talking. And sure enough, Jay comes in and he's wearing his camp outfit. Like he's wearing the Jay Robinson shorts, the staff shirt,
It's
his
the
hat,
brand.
his glasses. He kind of shuffles in. And he's kind of looking around, and I'm like, I'm like, hey, and then he turns and sees me, and like it comes over and shuffles and sits down. He gets a Diet Coke, and he's hanging out with us, and we were just talking about life and stuff. And I'm like, I kind of give him a hard time. I'm like, Jay, we're out. Like you couldn't like put on a nice shirt. And he looks at me. He's like, when your name's on the shirt, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, all right,
No,
cool.
goals.
Yeah, yeah. He ended up just paying for our meal, and dude, super, super cool person. I was like so thrown off. He actually came and was wearing literally the same outfit he was wearing before.
It's awesome how, this sport just, you get to meet cool people down to earth, like you said. And yeah, there's no superiority complex, at least for a lot of the people that I've met. I remember we were in Oklahoma, and we were at Bricktown in Oklahoma, and we're eating at Mickey Mantle's restaurant. It's a steakhouse, and walk in, have our food, whatever, and we walk out. And well, while we were eating, you looked over at the table, and there was Brands, and Brands was kind of sitting there, just kind of chatting it up. And then we all leave, and as we walk out, here comes all the bigwigs, man. Here comes Brands, and Bruce Baumgartner comes out, and we had a conversation with him. And then for the Beat the Streets this year with Iowa State and CBU, when it was held at Mount Sac, I was able to be on the call for that and do the broadcast. And you look over, and Bruce Baumgartner's there, and so I talked to the other couple guys, and I was like, "Do you think he'd have any clue and remember us at Mickey Mantle's restaurant?" And they're like, "No, but go ask him." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't want to sound like an idiot." And they're like, "Go ask him." So it's like, all right. So we're just kind of walking over there, shook his hand. He's, USA Wrestling's guy. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm sure 100% that you don't remember, but we were at Mickey Mantle's restaurant in Oklahoma, and you guys kind of came out, and you said some really nice things to us, and you treated us as equals, and appreciate that. Don't know if you would remember that." And he goes, "Yep. Don't remember that one, but I'm sure that was me." So it was like, yep. I mean, I'm sure thousands upon thousands of people have met him, hundreds of thousands, I'm sure, over the years with his connections. But just for him to give that time out, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, it obviously made an impact on you." And I was like, yeah. Like, you're the Olympian, man.
So sometimes that happens. I mean, obviously, I'm not an Olympian or anything, but there was this guy. He's coaching now, and he was like, "Yeah, hey, what's up, man? Like, how you been?" And I was like, I just played off. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I've been good. Like, how about yourself?" I had no idea who this person is. Like, "Yeah, I've been really good." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coaching." And he just starts telling me his whole thing, and I'm like, "All right, like, I definitely have met this person before." But I have no idea like where or how or what. So I'm like, "Oh, what did you go? Did you go to high school in Bakersfield?" And he's like, "Oh yeah." And I'm like, "You don't remember?" And I was like, "Honestly, man, like I'm just trying to place it." Like and he's just like, "Oh, it's like, yeah, no, we worked out there like during COVID, and like I was one day I forgot my shoes, and like you gave me like an extra pair of shoes like to wear, and I was like." Yeah, like that's cool, Like I have no idea. Like I don't remember any of that. I'm like, yeah, if you were close to a 12, like you probably I probably hooked you up, but
What's up with wrestlers forgetting their shoes, man? I mean,
I don't know.
I'm gonna put him on blast, and hopefully he just doesn't come back and beat me up along the way. But Ed Ruth came to our camp and came to
Oh
Florida.
no!
He didn't have his shoes, and so they're like, "Anybody got a size 12?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got an extra pair." So he wore mine the whole day. He signed them, Ed Ruth. Thanks for the shoes, Ed Ruth. But wrestlers forget their shoes all the time, man. It's crazy.
Well, so like I feel like if you're doing it like a camp, like you gotta bring your shoes, man. Like you're it's
He
I don't know.
flew out without his shoes, man, but we took care of him for sure. My wife is the greatest little sport when it comes to it, man.
Yeah,
We'll meet somebody out, and whether it's a former, okay, is it a former wrestler? Is it a former person who used to come in the restaurant all the time because I worked at the restaurant forever,
yeah.
or is it a former student? So, and when I recognize them, okay, I recognize their face, but the name just blows my like. I don't know whether it's prideful or not. I just throw my wife under the bus all the time. I'm just like, "Hey, well, this is my wife Shannon," and my wife's just like,
Yeah,
"Hi, I'm
yeah.
Shannon." He's like, "Yeah, hi, my name's Tim," and I'm up there. It is. "Hey, Tim. Hey, have a
Yeah.
great." You know, you
I
gotta
do that all the time.
you gotta act like you've been there.
Oh, hey, what's up? Oh, hey, this is this is my wife.
Or at the end, you're like, well, Tim, what was his name? And you're like, "Oh, hey, send me an email, man. I'd love to catch up with you." "Oh, yeah, you still got the same email?" "Yeah. Send it at, B. Navarro's, so and so forth." And next thing you know, a couple days later, you get an email and it's, "Oh, Tim Swakowski. That's who it was."
Got it.
You just remember those names, but we just meet people everywhere along the way. The first couple years dating my wife, obviously we left here at SoCal and we went up to Pismo Beach, and we're strolling on the beach. And next thing you know, I hear Navarro. I turn around. I'm like, hey, how's it going? We're just kind of chatting. Next thing you know, it's a coach from Selma or something, and the craziest time was we were in Jamaica. No joke. We're on our honeymoon in Jamaica, and we're walking down the street, middle of the street in Jamaica, and I hear Navarro, and my wife just gave me like this look of like,
Yeah.
really? And I turn around, I'm like, Aaron Betts, how are you, buddy? See this guy in Jamaica on her honeymoon, and she's like, I can't take you anywhere, man. But you meet so many people along the way. You just, whether you remember their name or not, you just, yeah, hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
I feel like I got to talk about this, and then I know it's getting close to an hour. Some people sent in some questions. Maybe we can talk about those too.
Sure.
But I did. I can't believe I haven't told the story yet. But we're doing a grad night at Universal, and damn it, I told myself I can't forget this kid's name because I was going to call him out on the podcast. But obviously it's grad night, and then there's like a bunch of different schools that are there. So the Victor Valley team was there. And was it Victor? It's there. It's what's the high school in Victor Valley?
Victorville High School?
Is it Victorville?
Victor Valley High School, yeah.
Okay.
Sultana, maybe?
It might have been some Sultana kids actually.
Okay.
But I was talking to, so they're kind of messing around. It's a bunch of boys, So like I'm like, whatever, they're just acting up. They're kids. But there's this huge long line, and there's a couple opportunities to cut. And like one of them is like going to cut, and they're behind me. So I kind of just look at them. I'm like, were you gonna cut me? And they're like, kind of just look at me, kind of look at me, and they're like they don't say anything, and then I'm kind of just like whatever. And I'm with my fiance, so we kind of walk, and then one of them he's like, hey, do you do fighting or do you do MMA? And I'm like, no, I wrestle in college. He's like, oh, like we're all wrestlers too. And I look, and like a good number of them are cauliflower ear, and I'm like, oh yeah, like where do you guys wrestle? We did that whole thing, and I asked for his name. He's like, oh yeah, I went 2-2 at state, and I'm going to be wrestling at Menlo, and I'm going to be doing this. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. And we kind of talk a little bit, as we're winding through. Then there's another opportunity to cut, and those guys freaking cut, and like a bunch of them did, and I was like, man, I talked
something
to you. I was like, I know who you are. Like, I'm gonna message your coach. Like, I probably said some other stuff like I'm gonna come up to Menlo next time they have an open room. Like, that probably was an overreaction on my part, but I just thought it was funny, man. And I was gonna tell it on the podcast, but I didn't. I don't think I told it the last time we were on.
Well, you got to remember his name and drop it in a comment or something along those lines.
I remember who he is. So if once they put him on the roster, I'll check, and then I'll call him.
That's awesome.
I'll do an official call out. I'll have him on the podcast, dude, and we'll interrogate him. Why'd you do that?
Awesome. How many questions were submitted?
There's a good number. Some people text me some, and some people just did it on the Instagram. I got one from Brandon Davis, BJJ. He said, would you consider the head and arm a JV move at the high school level?
Not at all. Whatever works, man. I'll flat out go first with it. I look at Zinkin. I look at his match just, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And Ray Harris has got a 4-0 lead, and this is the big duel. This is Clovis Buchanan. And next thing you know, Zinkin hits a duck, and he hits a sweet duck on the side and body locks him. And as soon as that hit, he let it up perfect, set it up, circled around. Ray did, and Zinkin threw that right-handed headlock and stuck him. And it was like, hey, I don't think a head and arm or any of that is JV move. You got to use it when you use it. Have that guy scroll in California Wrestling Instagram, man. Obviously with Greco and freestyle, it's a little bit more apparent, but no, high school, you get a kid shooting in on your legs and you bring him up and you feed him the hip and his head pops out. See ya, going for a ride.
As a high school coach, I don't think we've ever actually officially taught like, all right, guys, gather around. We're going to do the head and arm. Even as a youth coach, I don't think we've ever done that. But I've in the room, I've hit some head and arms. Like you dig an underhook on me, I'm either gonna duck you, I'm gonna fireman's carry you, or I'm gonna try to rip a head and arm. Like I'm gonna do probably one of those three.
Yep.
If we're just sparring and play wrestling, like I'll probably try it. But honestly, if I'm coaching you and you do it and it works, especially in a dual meet and you get a pin, I'll just be like, hey, way to get the pin. Like, but like we need to work on our leg attack, so we need to work on other stuff.
100%.
If you
100%.
try it and it doesn't work, I'm like, dude, why'd you do that? Like,
There's a time and place for everything, man. I mean,
yeah,
especially now with the takedown rules, man. If you're down 7 right now,
yeah,
I, a takedown's only going to get you 3. You're going to need some back points. So if it's under 30 to go and, you're fighting in a leg and next thing you know, there's 15, if you've got that move in your back pocket, use it. I don't think it's a JV move whatsoever. Probably not the first takedown that I'm going to teach a kid or to
yeah,
have that concept, but yeah, I think it's not a JV move. Put it in your back arsenal, and as long as you have those tools,
yeah.
use it when you need it.
And for girls wrestling, it works too. Like a lot of
Yeah.
upper body stuff actually works better with girls because of just how their body types normally are. Like they got wider hips.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, the women's wrestling, or sorry, girls high school wrestling is still developing. So it's interesting because you'll have some super high level girls that just like kind of cruise through a lot of the events, and then you
Uh-huh.
have girls that like just started wrestling, maybe eighth grade. Some of them just started wrestling in high school. So it's kind of a mix, but you see a lot of head and arms. You see people picking top when it comes to girls wrestling, but it's not. Yeah, I don't know. It can be a JV move, but it doesn't have to be.
If it works, it works. Tell that to Jason Nolf who hits a Win Dixie in the middle of a match, or some of those things. If you're not expecting it, if you got some kid who's in on a shot and he starts to climb the body and his head's popped out, it's going to teach him to get his head close to the body or on the backside. Whether he's going to run a double leg, head's on the outside, and run a Barzigar, however it's going to happen, you better keep that head away from getting thrown, especially with an underhook or an overhook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Brady Beeman sending a question. Dude, Brady, you can send in a question, but you can't be here.
He's out.
He's
He's out of town. He's a summer boy.
out of town,
Yeah.
whatever. He said, "What is your favorite wrestling shoe of all time? One you owned and a dream shoe."
Go,
So,
go ahead.
favorite wrestling shoe of all time. Honestly, I really liked. I can't remember what aggressors they are. They're not the newest ones. Maybe the one before, or 2 ones before. Maybe like aggressor threes or aggressor fours. But they're blue and gold. They're kind of like if you remember the ones that Iowa used to wear, like maybe like 2015, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Like those kinds of aggressors. Like I love them because for one, like I got heavy feet. Like I can't change that. So like just having a shoe that I feel like I can kind of use that shoe to my advantage because it's a little bit heavier. And then it's got grip on the sides, which I like a lot. I feel like that's a little bit uncommon with shoes. And they normally last really well. I had one pair and I've had them for a really long time. And then somebody I know their shoe blew out. So I was like, dude, you can just borrow mine. I just got a new pair of aggressors, like, and I have a couple other pairs. And then I got the new ones, and dude, freaking one of the pieces, like on the grip, freaking fell off within like, maybe 4 or 5 months of having it. Like, dude, this shoe is more expensive. It's newer, and the things just fall apart. And it's like the same thing with the freaks, like the old freaks before they discontinued them. Those
Right.
things lasted forever. Like that's like a magic shoe. But now it's like the newer freaks. I got a newer pair when they started making them again. I'm like, oh, dude, this is the freaks. And I got it and I let somebody borrow it and they ripped it. And I had it maybe for like 3 months.
Which sucks. Like you finally get it, and you're just like, okay, these are the shoes that I want, and next thing you know, they're just they're not what you want. They fall apart.
What's your favorite shoe?
I'm trying to scroll. I always forget that. Well, I mean, my favorite shoe, hands down, is the Combat Speeds. Combat Speed ones. I had the black and red ones. Matter of fact, I still have them. They're in the room. They're my favorite shoe, split sole. They are the dream shoe. I think the first pair I ever owned. I had a pair of blue. I think I could find a photo. Maybe I'll crop out my face, my long mullet. But I had Tiger Mondays. I had the
Tiger
blue.
Mondays.
I did. That was back in like 92, 91, 92. Had those shoes. They were gifted to me from my neighbor, who was Roy Oliver. Yeah, he was on the Olympics run there in '80 when we didn't go. But he lived next door to me for a long time, and he gifted them to me. He's like, "Hey, what size shoe are you?" And I told him, and that was in like seventh, eighth grade. And then I
Nice.
wore them seventh, eighth, and ninth grade. They were super small in ninth grade, but yeah, the Tiger Mondays were a good shoe. But combat speeds, I don't know. I don't have a dream shoe. I'm not a big shoe guy like Brady is, but I've had a few over the years. The ones I didn't like I think they were the Adidas Adastars or something like that. They had the grip on the side and they were a
Yeah.
single sole. Those are the ones that Ed Ruth wore and signed. But so now they're just hanging kind of in the closet. But no, Combat Speed ones were the dream shoe. I wish they'd make them. They've made a few of the Combat Speeds lately, but go back to your original quality,
Yeah.
and I'm game. I'm game.
I want a shoe that like I don't think there's a shoe out there, but a shoe that doesn't fall apart, that's gonna last, that's practical, and I'm more of a minimalist. I don't need like anything crazy, something that just looks cool.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever spend more than 50, $60 on a pair of shoes.
Just get them used because I mean, what kind of I don't know. You could probably get some cheap ones actually on Amazon.
I bought a brand new pair last year. The Combat Speeds finally gave out, and so I bought a pair of like a blue green neon Adidas. No, they were the Asics. So I got a pair of Asics, and I think I spent like $55 on them. Yep,
Nice.
not gonna spend a ton of money on shoes nowadays, especially because I'm only on the mat 1 week in summertime, and then
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 days a month rolling around. But
And save some money.
yeah, and then some.
Brady and Sean with Funky All Day, they need to start making videos, like doing some shoe reviews. I tried to get them to do that maybe like a year ago. I talked about it, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to put the." I was like, "Dude, just prop up your cameras. Talk about the shoe, talk about what you like about it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I'll get you
come
some
on, you got
views."
your iPhone right next to you. Make a small little, just minute and a half review on the shoe and send it over.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you
Yep.
gotta do.
Yeah, Brady's reviews, or you come up with some funky name, put a short series
Well,
together.
they have that Instagram,
Yeah, yeah.
Funky All Day.
But put
Brady's
put it
Funky
up is what
Reviews.
I'm saying. Like put them up as a short or
Oh
as
yeah,
a reel. Yeah.
yeah. They can keep that idea for free. My brother Steve Batisto says we're asked where will AJ end up and what coach will take him. If you're a college coach, Brian, are you trying to get AJ right now?
He's got 3 years of eligibility. That is very enticing. You're going to have to find a coach who can control his social being, because he's a heck of a wrestler. But I just don't know if there's a coach out there who's going to take him. You'd love to have him on the mat, but I don't know. I think he's a stud. Obviously national champ, and that year doesn't even count. That's the craziest part. That's the free COVID year that comes back to you. He's still got 3 years of eligibility. I don't know. Maybe somewhere in the Big Tens. Whether it's I don't know, Rutgers or something.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know.
I think well, for one, you say it doesn't count. I mean, I
Doesn't
don't know.
count. Well, it doesn't count against the 4 years. And that last year was officially an Olympic red shirt. I saw that, and so he's got 3 more years.
It's ridiculous.
And is he going to go 97s? Is he like?
I don't know. I mean, he wrestled 97s at the veteran was it the Veteran Salute? Is that the name
Yeah.
of the tournament that Iowa does? He lost to oh man, the names I can't get it. Iowa's 197. I want to say he finished maybe around a 12. Was it Zach something? Oh man. See, I suck at names. That's why I could never do like the news. I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no.
But he did beat Nino Bonacorsi, who later won a national title. Pretty big deal, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think he took some visits. I did see that he posted. He visited University of Northern Colorado. My thing is though, it's like you talked about. Find a coach that can control him. You think you can control that guy? He ain't controlling the Ferrari, man. He goes his own way as fast as he can.
You're right, but there's got to be some sort of respect level of saying, "Hey, here's your discipline," and if it's not going to happen, later. And I think that again, we're spitballing, but maybe
Yeah.
that's what Brands was talking about. Hey, listen, this is the way we do things, and if you want to follow along, great, hop on board. We'd love to have it. If you're not, then hit the road. And he hit the road. So I don't know if that was what was said, but I don't know. How's his grades? Can he get into, some of those EIWA schools? I don't know. I mean, Donnie Pritzlaff's got a new job, so
Go to Columbia.
my God. Again, I don't know what his grades are or something along those lines, but he's got plenty of money. He's got his NIL deals rolling. I don't know if he's got any left, but
Yeah.
whoever gets him is, if they can control him, you easily got a top 5, top 3 guy.
I feel like a pretty risky investment if I'm going
Hmm.
to give him, especially if I'm maybe not a Big Ten or not even I feel like if I'm any school, if I'm willing to consider to give this guy a full ride or give him, probably how much do you think he's worth with NIL if I'm his school trying to get him in?
Yeah.
Probably a few
Well,
hundred
he's going to
grand.
bring his followers. He's going to bring his entourage, and you're going to get a lot of people out there who follow him. So if that's a
Yeah.
money issue, I
Get
think NIL.
eyes on your program,
Yep.
you know. But I think if I'm a head coach, like I would take a safer bet and put that where I feel a little more confident. And if it was just about the wrestling part, yeah, obviously he'd be an easy pickup. But I think if it's more, if you factor in some of the stuff he's been accused of, stuff that he's doing, what led to his car accident, like trying to get behind or get around a truck in a double yellow lane. It's like don't it's just things like that. It's like I'm not sure I would take that risk.
If I was
But
D1 coach, yeah, you got to weigh those options, and I'm just not sure it's an option that I would want to do either.
yeah, well, dude, it's 8:41. I think there were a couple more questions, but maybe we can save those for next time.
You want to do one more?
And do one more.
Sure.
This one actually, I'm not sure if it's really a question. I think it was more of a clarification thing. Um, Somebody asked. The Owl was inducted into the Hall of Fame, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he was already in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a new inductee.
He got the Idaho chapter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he was in California, and I want to say he was also the National Hall of Fame, but now he's in Idaho Hall of Fame.
This is the National Hall of Fame or the Idaho chapter, from what I saw and what I read. Yeah.
Nice. He
Yeah.
he actually he called me earlier when I was getting out of practice, and I called him right back. I got voicemail, so gonna have to congratulate Al. That's awesome, especially because he hasn't been there that long. He's only been there for 4 years, but he's putting out those articles with Idaho Sports and the hidden gems that he's doing, and he'll do some podcasting. But that's cool that already, man, like he's having an impact, and it's just cool. He's that guy.
Just a laid back, responsible guy who loves wrestling and can remember every name ever put into his memory bank. Unlike us, that guy's just got. He's awesome. I look at those guys that actually put California, back then the forum on the map, and now it's kind of moved over to Twitter. But yeah, Al's a good dude and good for him to make the Hall of Fame in Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bryan.
Always a
Dude,
pleasure, brother.
yeah, this is always fun. This is always
Summertime,
fun.
man.
I love
Summertime. Let's
summertime.
roll it. And you got a couple of busy weeks coming up, I'm sure, man.
Yeah, Emma's she's I don't know if yeah, she's overseas. I'll say that. She's on
Yeah.
she's doing a little trip right now with her friends and like
Yeah.
this travel group, which I think is great for her. And I think it's cool to do it right before we get married. But I was joking. I'm like, it's gonna go by really fast because you're on this trip. Then you're gonna get back, and then we're gonna get married in 2 weeks. Like, yeah,
It's insane. And then what, you got 3 weeks before school starts after that? So
dude, don't tell me that. I just finished 3 weeks of summer school, and then I have 3 more weeks of summer
sucker.
school.
You will never
I
come.
like it. Like I need that money right now. I'll take it. So
And totally understandable. You couldn't pay me enough to do summer school. I enjoy my summer and I subsidize it with working at the restaurant. So I'm good. But no, I want to hang out with my wife and my daughter and enjoy summer. Be out in the sun and, get a little red every now and then. But nah, no summer school for me, man. I'll work a wrestling camp and we'll have a good 7 days with that and we're good.
nice.
Yeah. Good, man.
All
Well,
right,
I always
Bryan.
appreciate you thinking about me and having me on and whenever, dude, whenever. And if those big boys who you're trying to get on here in the next couple of weeks lands, let us know. I don't know if those boys in San Diego will pop on every now and then, but nah. If
I'm at the point I might just have to fire him, or we'll make a new group chat.
No, it's fun to rise those guys, man. And it's just great to see Greco win national titles.
Yeah, keep that. Now it's got to be a thing. You gotta keep shoving Greco down their throat.
Well, what's going to be great is one of their kids here in the next year and a half is just going to hop on the Greco national team and go far, and they're just going to be like, yeah, I like Greco. I like Greco.
Well, so they have a guy, Junior Blumenglog. He, I
Yeah.
want to say, made the semifinals. Was it maybe 2 years ago for cadets? I forgot how he did last year. I want to for sure. I'm pretty sure he placed. I think. But I want to say he's wrestling Greco at Fargo. And they got some other guys that are doing Greco. So as soon as just one granite guy does well in Greco, I'm gonna be like, hey, Greco's a fake sport, dude. Don't celebrate
Now,
too hard.
Now, to their defense, I think the last thing I would say about it is it wasn't necessarily coming out of their two mouths. It came out of one of their wrestlers' mouth, who will remain nameless. But
They supported it, dude.
they
I want to
did
say they supported it.
100%. But with that being said, they're supporting their wrestler. We'll see. We'll
I
see.
think that was a cop out.
Hey, I'll send the address of where I'm going to be in July, and they can stop by and we can have a little bit of a fun session.
We gotta
Maybe,
put a burrito bed on it.
yeah, maybe we'll do it with maybe we'll do it with Nolf's there. Yeah, we'll set that date and come on up because he's funky. Crazy little story, quick before we go. I think I told it once before, but when Vincenzo was out of camp. We had this cocky high school kid, and he was double national champ. And he's like, I can turn anybody. Well, you're not turning my fat ass. And he's like, I'll turn you. But he didn't turn me, and I'm all, I'll turn you. And he's like, nobody turns me. And I lifted him straight up. Now he's a high school kid. I had probably 65, 70 pounds on him. But I turn around and Vincenzo's like, can you do that again? And I was like, do what again? He's like, how'd you get that lift? I'm like, well, where I put my knee? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, watch, just here. And he's like, can I videotape it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
And he's like, where'd you learn that? And I'm like, well, an Olympian, Heath Sims, he lived in Temecula, and he used to come in our room, and he taught me the lift. And he's like, that's rad. Can I film it? And I'm like, sure. And so I kind of showed the breakdown, filmed it, and I was like, well, what are you gonna do with it? And he's like, I'm sending it back to Kale. I was like, what? So
there you go. You're in the Penn State archive right now.
Yeah, probably. Who's this fat guy just showing this lift, putting his knee and driving it over the top? But hey, those boys want to come up. We'll have a little bit of fun at camp, and I'll buy them dinner or lunch that day, and and we'll have some fun.
I'm trying to convince Emma to let us stop by on the way back.
Yeah, that ain't
the airport.
happening. That ain't happening. But
She's like, I'll leave you there. And I'm like,
well, if you fly in, yeah, not a problem, dude. You can stay in my room for a night. I'm not sure where she's gonna be
I still have
staying.
to go. I have to go back up there. So I mean, like,
It's up to you, dude.
Yeah.
The wedding ring's on the finger.
I told her, like, well, just give me an hour, and she's like, Bryan, you go with her for an hour. It's not going to be.
It's gonna turn into
It's gonna be
4
hours.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a fun time, and let's do this again.
All right. Later, Bryan.
See you, brother.
See you. All right. That was episode 61. Again, thank you guys for following the show. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Again, thank you guys for supporting the show. If you have any thoughts, any feedback, or possibly want to join the show, I'll let your boy go into that suggestion box, leave something. I'll see it. All right, guys. Later.